wanted to write from like the moment I couldn't even spell.
But I do agree. I got a lot to learn when it comes to acting. I still got to practice
on the radio promoting the show and had invited people.
Better than the first. The Adam Talks Podcast, Season 2.
Welcome back to another great episode of the Adam Talks Podcast right here on whatever platform you're watching or listening to it on. Before we get into any of the details on this episode, can you do one thing for me, guys? If you're on YouTube, could you hit that subscribe button? And if you're listening to us on one of the other pure podcast platforms, that's Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Apple Podcasts, could you hit that follow button? It would sure mean a lot to me, and it helps out in major ways that I shouldn't have to explain. But guys, today we are talking to a guy who helped promote for one of the biggest wrestling promotions in Arkansas a couple of years back, Championship Wrestling of Arkansas. We were talking to Johnny Morton. This guy's been background on Young Rock whenever that was on TV. He was also a professional wrestler from 1992 to the 2000, I believe either 2010s or early 2020 area. So, guys, you're going to want to strap in on this one. It's going to be a fun episode. Here's my conversation with Johnny Morton. Here today we have an awesome guest, another great guest, a guy that helped run and promote Championship Wrestling of Arkansas for the little bit of time that it was around, as well as a professional wrestler from the early 90s all the way until, what was it, late 2010s or 2020 or something like that?
Yeah, about.
We have the man himself, Johnny Morton, on the show, man.
Hello, my friends. How are you doing today, man? It's great to be here. Sun's shining out here on my 15 acres, man, and I can't complain not one bit. Here we are.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's awesome to have you on here, man. We were talking just a second ago before we started this thing, and I was super stoked about seeing a bigger promotion in Arkansas, you know, and that was a couple of years back, but it was awesome seeing names like Chavo and Carlito and Buff Bagwell and even the younger guys that are bigger now, like Barrett Brown coming through the scene, coming to small towns like Hot Springs and going to Searcy and all these other places doing shows. How did that whole thing come about, man?
Well, you know, Matt Riviera and I, in the early 2000s, 2007 or 8, whatever it was there, he owned and operated Traditional Championship Wrestling, which was TCW, which it was, national television and the whole 9 yards, baby or mini WCW. I don't know how to say that, but, we hand selected, and you were there a couple times in the CWA stuff, but we hand selected every single wrestler that was on that card. And,
oh, wow.
You know, so when we did all that, man, but the CWA thing came about, we wanted to do something, be able to give back to the communities, and, the original one, I don't know if you see the shirt, it says CWA Wrestle Raise, right? So that was our initial thought on doing that. So once we did the first benefit, and we donated like $6,000 to the family, man, we were hooked. I don't mean like, we were just driving to do benefits, but when I say hooked, man, it wasn't long. Somebody in the community there come along and said, "Hey, such house burned down, man. Can we do something for them?" Yes, and I think we raised like $8,000 for that family. Little girl that we did some work, did a couple of the shows there. Miss Abby, we did Abby Mania. We did that on two different occasions, and I don't know all the medical just of what's wrong with her, man, but like every time that she'd go to get some treatment, whatever, she'd go in remission, and then whatever it was would come back. So anyway, so that inspired us, man, to really, really want to do something for the communities and people in real need of help,
Yeah. Definitely, man. It was something that was completely different. And for me, it felt like, cause I've seen TNA come to Hot Springs. I've seen WWE come to Hot Springs. Well, WWE came once and TNA came twice. It was 2009 and then I want to say 11 and 12 or 10 and 11 for TNA. But, it was an awesome show watching them three shows, but the CWA shows was something completely different. gave you a whole spectacle, man. You got to see awesome matches, a great entranceway setup, awesome fan interaction. You got to have legends like Lex Luger and, oh my God. I said his name yesterday whenever we were talking on the phone. Four Horsemen. James J. Dillon, that's the guy. Yeah. And then, Brian Lawler and Jerry Lawler was down as well and got to see him wrestle. It was just a big experience, something that you didn't get with those the other larger promotions, you know? Was that all part of it as well? Bringing a bigger presentation to the smaller state of Arkansas?
Yeah, as I said, the whole TCW thing, the traditional championship wrestling was on a large syndicated scale. And I'm not blowing smoke. We were one step away from being where TNA is today, or AEW, or Ring of Honor. We were that close.
Oh, wow.
But back then it was just a little bit more difficult. Unless you had 50 million to put up, nobody wanted to sponsor you for, to go on mainstream cable TV. Now the time
right.
today, and we had all the streaming TV, we would still be on TV, I'm sure, doing something.
Yeah.
But what you said about being able to almost reach out and touch the stars, if you will. When we decided to do CWA, we wanted to bring it back on a smaller scale basis, but still have the same production, the same limelight, the same pizzazz. We wanted to be as superstardom, as close to getting that as you could, and by doing that, with the TCW thing was a little different, but the CWA thing, not only do we bring a lot of the big stars in, we also reach out and used a lot of the local talents as well. From Alan Steele to Derek King to John Omari, or Action Jackson. Just some of those guys, and I don't want to say that we made them stars, but they were definitely stars when they were on our television program. Or at our live,
definitely,
or at our live events, So,
yeah, you got people like Golden Boy Greg Anthony that was on the show, making everybody hate him the whole entire time. It was great watching him perform, seeing the way that he riled the crowd up, dude. He was one of the best. He did the best heel work I think I've seen out there. Maybe Matt Rivera was right behind him, but I think Golden Boy Greg Anthony was an amazing heel.
I don't know if you.
What about you?
I don't know if you were part
Go ahead.
Any of the Mall Mail shows that we did over in North Little Rock, but you're speaking to Greg Anthony. One of the segments that we did, I was out and presenting an award to someone, and when we were done with that, Greg come out, cut me off, and which I can't do it now, man, but I super kicked him and laid him out, man. That's probably one of the best segments I had as far as, shutting somebody up, and I'll tell you,
yeah.
But me and Greg, bro, we're like this still to today. We kind of broke in together once he came in. Of course, we took him right in and put him to work and used him, and he still runs a school and runs wrestling every Saturday night in Dyersburg, Tennessee. So at Mid-South Pro Wrestling. Nothing but good words to say about him, But you're right though. I mean,
wow.
As far as being able to get heat, he was a heat magnet. That's for sure.
Oh man, I tell you, I came in there and I've always been a fan of the good guys until like recently, whenever I started wrestling, and a little before I started wrestling when I was backyard wrestling and stuff like that, I started really being attracted to the heels because, man, it's so crazy seeing these guys go out there and not giving a single shit what anybody thinks, and going out there and just being like, oh, you shut up, you fat bellied whatever, and talking trash to people and stuff like that, man. It was nuts seeing that kind of stuff, and people just shouting at everybody, and I'm like, how do they do that? Little did I know it was going to be something that I love to do as a pro wrestler, man. I love being a heel. It's the best, That's why I call myself simply the best Adam Gregory. It's nothing like it, man. Have people shower you with booze. It's awesome.
Right.
Were you a heel in your career?
Many nights I was a heel, man, especially like 2001 to 3, 4 somewhere. I got in this kick of wearing bright colored outfits, man. I had my manager, Jimmy Starr, was with me right by my side. And, bro, look, I come out in the green and black polka dots or black paisley flowers. And, of course I did the butcher top, man, the long tights and the covered trunks. And, dude, I mean, it was instant heat the second we walked through the curtain, A lot of fun. Of course, I was all tanned up, man. Had bleached blonde hair, and of course, at that time in '03, man, I guess I was 30ish, whatever. And man, I mean, I thought I thought I was the best in the world. I mean, everybody goes through that, man. Especially when you're working 3 or 4 nights a week and getting pushed everywhere you go. And looking back on all that now, I wish they I wish they'd set me on the bench a couple of times, but not really, man. And saying that with being set on the bench a couple of times, man, my body hurts so bad now. I just wish that I would have done things a little different, because I mean, now I didn't take bumps every night off the top of stuff, but I still took a lot of unnecessary bumps in my early days, So
everybody has a bump card, man.
Yep. And which I in '05, I'm sorry. I threw that super kick all them years, man, and I tore the psoas muscle, that holds the hip joint in place. And so I kind of quit throwing super kick, man. And after I quit doing that, of course, you started watching all the live stream TV stuff, and everybody was throwing super kick. So it all come half blessing, if you will. But now my right shoulder's tore up now, brother. It I don't know if it's rotator cuff. I don't know if it's a labial tear. I hadn't been to the doctor about it. Just stubborn ass old macho man, I guess. But but I'm telling you all this, man, because like you just said, everybody has a bump card, man. Well, man, I'm not saying don't take pretty bumps. Just limit your extreme bumps. Let me say that. Now, that's probably the best advice.
How did you get into the professional wrestling world, man? Was it just through watching stuff, tryouts? Was there stuff in the papers or?
Well, no. Of course, being from Memphis, man, and having a thumb in the Morton name, I mean, that kind of helps. And of course, the Morton's up around the Nashville area, Columbia, Tennessee, all that area up there, man. Still very prominent today. Of course, Ricky lives in Chuckey, Tennessee, up there around Bristol. But just being young, man, of course, I was so little, that they told me 100 times, "Oh, you're too little, you'll never make it. You're too little, you'll never make it." In which at that time I weighed like 145 pounds, so they weren't wrong. But being young, man, and being around it, way different than it is today. I mean, they said, "Hey, man, you want to set up chairs or help set up the ring or whatever, man?" So you always wanted to be a part, even though you knew you couldn't be be in there at that time. You wanted to be a part of it. And at the age of 14 or 14 and a half, almost 15, I was at the Mid-South Coliseum one night, and Guy Coffey and Bruno come to me, and they said, "Hey, man, you play music?" I was like, "Yeah, bro, I play drums. Why?" I said, No. Can you play music on the jam? On cassette tapes, It's like, well, yeah, sure. So from 14 till I was up until I was like 20, probably on and off. Not consistently, but on and off. Man, anytime I go hang out, whatever. Anytime they needed a sound guy, that's how I really got into to what I do today as far as promoting and playing. Being able to be the DJ and playing music and all that good stuff. Of course, now back then, man, of course, 1990 rolled around. I was 16. I really wanted to get into the wrestling aspect of it. Of course, back then, man, you couldn't wrestle till you were 18. I didn't care who you were. I mean, Jeff Jarrett and Brian Lawler, man, started at 17, but they weren't too far from 18. Anyway, so I just kept persisting and pushing, and 92, man, I got lucky. Snowman, Eddie Crawford, rest his soul. He's the guy that had the big feud with Jerry Lawler in 1988. Over the unified belt and all that good stuff. Anyway, I just happened to live next door. I come from Memphis. I just happened to live next door to him, in one of the minor project apartments, if you will. And, brother, he got out there with us every Sunday, like when he get off the road or whatever, every Sunday afternoon, man, he'd have 10, 12 kids out there playing around, bumping, rolling, whatever. And, he knew I was really good. And also at the age of 14, let me stop right there. At the age of 14, the year I went to try out for wrestling, for in-school wrestling, high school wrestling, my football coach told me, he said, "Well, you're either going to wrestle or you're going to play football." Well, needless to say, here I am 30 years later. Okay.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying with that is, once I turned 18, I knew I could shoot wrestle. I went, tri-state a couple of times, all-state once. Anyway, so I knew I could shoot wrestle. Well, I really wanted to get into the ring, and of course, I used the wrestling to my advantage. But the funny thing is, once I got trained and went into the business, I was told not to let anybody know I knew how to wrestle. like shoot wrestler, you know what I mean? But back to my training, like I said, luckily, man, I was really trained by a snowman, Eddie Crawford. And then once I got up in age a little bit, and ready to really go, of course, they were like, everybody said, oh, don't tell nobody you had any experience with him, because he just had a bad name in Memphis with Lawler. So I got lucky enough, man. Don Bass took a liking to me, Outlaw Don Bass. And he had a wrestling school. He had a wrestling school over in Jericho, Arkansas. Legit out in a barn. The ring was on the floor. Very, very old school, hardcore. No mediocre bullshit. No padding to play in.
Yeah.
So I got to go through his school, man. In the midst of all that, I met and got to work with Moondog Spot. Larry Booker, if you will, Larry Latham, who was one half of the Bombers in the early 80s, with Wayne Ferris, Honky Tonk Man. So I got to go through his school. And then, in the midst of all that, like I said, being around the Memphis TV and whatnot, I was invited to go to, Hendersonville to the Jarrett School. I got to go up there about 6 months. Wolfie D happened to be the trainer at that time. So I got to work a lot with him, which helped a lot too, because I was there every Saturday when they were in Memphis, Monday nights and, at the Coliseum. So, kind of all that deal. And then in the midst of all that, a name you may or may not know, we used to come to Fort Smith all the time when I first broke in, but I got a chance to go through Motley Cruz. Got to go Cruising for Pain, Wrestling School of Wrestling, also in Memphis at that time. And he taught me a lot of the outskirts of the business, quick, fast, and in a hurry. And what I mean by that, like, bro, we didn't have any money, and back in the day, bro, you're lucky to make $10 or $20. Then when I tell you this, man, it's a true story from the heart. We go places, man. We have a place to stay, but we had no food, brother. And so we would go to like Wendy's, and somebody else be able to get a meal. But we steal crackers and ketchup just to have something to eat. It's a true story.
God dang.
Even though the payouts were pretty good back then, especially when we come to work for Bill Ash up at Fort Smith, that was a good fun time. But when I say good fun time, $30, $40, you thought you were making $1 million, because I'm talking about a year or two in the business, which you guys still today are still making $30 or $40, with their first couple of years in the business. And it's not that we don't teach them in the wrestling school, hey man, this is business, this is how to ask for money, but you've got to have enough seasoning under your belt for someone to want to pay you, And so, but back to wrestling school, man, asked me how I got in it, man. I just, like I said, I knew what I wanted to do when I was a kid. And then once I started getting my feet wet, of course, even in early days, man, in high school, man, I took broadcasting, and of course, I played in a couple of plays. So the theatrics was there. How TV worked, I really I was very intrigued and amazed by that. Matter of fact, I used to get in trouble in the Q room. Mr. Coffey or Randy Hale, somebody, get out of there, Ripley. Of course, when I was on Memphis TV, my name was Ripley Prim, which again, that comes from my friend downtown Bruno. We can get that story in a few minutes on how I got to Ripley Prim. He come to me one morning, and they didn't want me to work as a Morton because I was so small. So anyway, I didn't know this until 15 years later. But downtown Bruno, his uncle Larry, they drank a lot. Well, he had a dream or a premonition one night that he wrestled in the Mid-South Coliseum, and his name was Ripley Prim. Well, so when Bruno just said, hey man, we're going to you'll be Ripley Prim this morning. Okay, fine. I just wanted to work, but I didn't care. It's TV. Characters are characters, whatever. So anyway, that name still today, and that was in 1994. It still sticks today. Obviously I'm known as Johnny Morton, but everybody who knows me from back then still calls me Rip or Ripley. And And the old timers I see, they all, Ripley Prim, Reggie B. Fine, one of my good friends, man. I just made him a logo for his little business a few weeks ago. But every time I see him, every time he talks to me, it's not Ripley Prim, it's not Johnny Morton. He calls me Ripley Trim. He's always called me Ripley Trim. There's a
Ripley Trim.
Yeah, there's a side story to that too. And I was just telling this story yesterday, man. Of course, I was all tanned up, man, blonde headed. Thought I was hot shit. But later on, they nicknamed me the Rat King. So I don't need to get. I don't need to go backwards where the Ripley Trim come from. When I was in school, getting you a fresh piece was called, "Hey, man, you going out getting some trim tonight?" Lots of fun, man, on that.
Right on.
Of it, but man, I've been, and I know it's all, we got plenty of time, man. But before I forget, I just want to tell brother, I've had a long, and I say lustrous career, and I say lustrous because I've thrown away more money than most people fucking will ever have. I don't mean bragging. Just when you make cash money, man, mama says, "Hey, I need this. The babies needs this." You don't ask no question. You come home with fucking $500, $600, $700 in your pocket, man, and leave back out on Wednesday with nothing. After you pay bills and pay bills and have a good, nice, fun dinner, and now I'm talking about like 97, 98. So what we go have today, McDonald's was $7, $8 back in. Hell yeah, I can't eat McDonald's.
Yeah.
I don't eat McDonald's, but you can't eat McDonald's for less than $12, $15 today by yourself.
Right. Right.
So.
Man.
But brother, I've had a lot of fun. I've gotten to travel from one end of the country to the other, from Carolina to California, Michigan to Maine. I mean, from Louisiana, Florida, Texas. I mean, we wrestled in Arizona, wrestled in Washington. I got to go to Puerto Rico in '97. Only got to go one time, man, but it was a fun deal. Two of the guys that were there at the end are still there. Flash Flanagan's still there, on and off. He's semi-retired now, but I know for a long time he had something to do with the booking over there. If I never got to, and brother, it's gonna break my heart when I say this, but if I never got to go to another wrestling arena, I'd be just as happy, because I've done just about everything you could do. I've been an extra for WWF. I worked the first 26 shows for TNA. There's some of the race car security spots with Hermie Sadler and Sterling Marling. Dude, that was truly amazing. Here I am in the wrestling world, get thrown into the NASCAR world, and I again, bro, when you got to be flexible, and that's at any job, but in the wrestling business, a lot of guys fail because they go, "That's not my job. I want to wrestle. I don't want to referee. I want to wrestle. I don't want to run the camera." If you go to a new fucking company and nobody knows who you are, and they say, "Hey, brother, we'd like for you to do this."
Yeah.
Don't ask no questions.
Just do it.
And I'll say this, dude, the object and the end game of the wrestling business is making money. If you can't make no money getting in the ring, fucking taking bumps, but they want to offer you money to do something else, guess what? Go do it.
Take that money.
Right. Well, but if I had not done that in my early days, I wouldn't be able to do the things I do today in the last 10 years, as far as production and filming and running the switcher, running the camera crew on the telepiece, telling the other guys what to do. I mean, and just the other night, here I am, 30 years in the business, man, and we got an opportunity to go down to Mobile, Alabama, for Diamond Championship Wrestling, and Scott Armstrong is the head trainer, the head producer, the head match agent. He doesn't own it, but he's the head guy. And of course, we all know how strong and prominent the Armstrong name is. His brother's Jesse James Armstrong, Road Dogg, if you will. His daddy was Bob Armstrong, the Bullet.
Bullet Bob.
Yep. And his other brother was Brad Armstrong, who died, several years ago, passed away. So the Armstrong family has a predominant name in some of the bigger companies. Now, again, like I just said, I when we originally talked about me coming in, they wanted me to be a manager. Okay. Mm-hmm. And I still may go to that. But last week they called and said, "Hey, we know you're coming down Saturday. Can you ring announce?" Well, hell yeah. I take no risk of getting hurt and get paid the same. Yes, sir. Sure can.
I ain't even got to worry about taking a bump or anything. You're just there, man. You're just there announcing and stuff.
I was so relieved in the production meeting, man. They like, hey, nobody touched the referees and nobody touched the announcer. I was like, that's me. So,
yes, please. I'll take one of those.
yeah. Man, but up to speed. I own half of TCW, which is Tennessee Championship Wrestling here in the Jackson, Tennessee area. We run Dixon, Tennessee, Jackson, Tennessee, obviously. Savannah. We do Selmer, Tennessee, all within a 250-mile radius. Excuse me. But we got a big event. We just had a big event 2 weeks ago in Henderson, Tennessee. We had 800 people. The total fundraising event raised over $27,000. Going back to CWA, we raised over $27,000 total. That was sponsorships and everything else we did outside. We had almost $11,000 just on the gate, bro.
Holy cow!
And 100%.
Dude, that is a killing, man.
100% of all them proceeds, what I just said, 100% of that went to the Carl Perkins Child Abuse Center there in Henderson, Tennessee.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome.
So
wow.
Like I said, man, the business has been good to me, and the only way I know to return the favor is to be good to the business. And what I mean by that, man, is doing good business while we're out in the public eye.
Yeah, man, definitely. You said more than 30 or around 30 years, a little bit more than 30 years somewhere in there, give or take. Yeah. I imagine so much has changed throughout the years, but so much has also stayed the same in different ways. Would you say so?
Oh man, 100%. And I'll use you for example, bro. When I was trying to even though I was already a shoe in with the name, when I was trying to get in, brother, they beat the shit. Excuse me for cussing. They beat the teetotal shit out of me. Okay, it wasn't no. Oh, he's such and such. He's it. No, brother. Every shot. I mean, not to the face, but every shot to the body was bam. Legit knock you to the ground. Again, I was working with guys like Larry Latham, Moondog Spot, Don Bass. Some of the older, bigger guys, man. And here I was 150 pounds, man. Then they didn't give me no slack, bro. But not just that, man. Paying dues, and we had to argue with our talent all the time. But if I'm booking, I don't have to argue with them because I tell them on the front end. But the guys today, man, they want to walk in, put on their boots, go to the ring, and go, I'm a professional wrestler. That's all they want to do. They don't want to do no promos. They don't want to go out and do no public appearances. They don't want to get their help early to help set up. And sometimes I don't, when I preach this, I don't necessarily mean for them to come and touch the ring. When I say set up, I don't care if you come set your own table up. Come be a part of be a part of the crew. And then the reason I say that, man, about 99, 2000, somewhere right there, I did 6 months in the circus. And kind of the traveling circus, the carnival on the outside, whatever. Bro, every single body, and I didn't give a damn if it was a trapeze artist, the fucking ring, the ring announcer, the ring master. It didn't matter. Everybody worked just as hard from 8 o'clock in the morning until 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock in the afternoon when everything was set up as you did in Showtime. And that's how that, and we are still a traveling circus, if you will. We're probably one of the only companies in West Tennessee right now that's doing the traveling circus thing. Everybody else has got a building. Everybody else has got a permanent ring. They don't have to pack up and tear down, set up. None of that they don't do none of that. We're probably really the only, and I say that. Golden Boy Greg Anthony doesn't. The guys up in Trenton, Tennessee, that's a permanent building. The guys around and I live 15 miles from my friends here in Boonville, Mississippi that run EPW. That's a permanent building. Now they do some traveling shows, but they have a permanent building. So what I'm saying is they're the art, and you go back to how things have changed. Back in the day, man, unless you had a TV studio, you didn't have a permanent building. Now, as far as where I'm going to go on this next one, way things have changed. If you have a permanent building and you try to run a weekly show, ain't nobody here drawing over 150, 200 people. I don't care what you do. You can change locations and you still draw about the same amount of people. Back in the day, though, if you ran, let's say you ran Jonesboro, Arkansas, right? Well, the next night you ran Forest City. The next night you may come back to Memphis. The following night you may went down to, Grenada, Mississippi or something. Then the following night maybe in Nashville. I'm just saying you could do that on every couple of months and draw 300-400 people guaranteed. Today, and I don't know if it's a mental block. I don't know if it's a money grab. I don't know if it's a worry of somebody else coming in, some other company coming in. I don't know, but there's no way possible. And I know what we do. I know what we just raised for the show we have coming, this event we have coming Saturday night. And I know how much hard work that was. So there's no way these guys are getting out and hustling that the amount of sponsorship money we have for Saturday. They're not doing that every week. And we have a nice little purse built up, little cushion, if you will. But every bit of what we raised, brother, about $3,000 is spent and allotted for already. I mean, from our advertisement to the rent on the building to the production, it takes a lot of money to make good money. Now, on the flip side of that $3,000 probably being spent already, we look to probably have 250, 300 people, which is a return of about $11,000.
Oh wow!
Saying so there's no way these companies are spending $3,000 a week and still not making no money. And that's probably nationwide. I mean, and I say that, brother. Like I said, we went to Mobile, Alabama last Saturday night, and bro, they legit 250 people sold out. And when I say sold out, yeah, they had plenty of room left in the building, but they only had 250 seats. So when you and Scott Armstrong said it best, it's about setting goals. And when you achieve that goal, then you've done something. That don't mean that don't mean next week put out 265 chairs. That means put out 250 chairs again. Because to the common person on entertainment, the tickets are sold on hype. Not because the product's great, not because, oh my God, it's sold out on somebody going, man, we went to this event last week, it was fucking sold out. That's what sells. That's what sells the next ticket.
Okay.
And also, man, going back to what we were talking about a while ago with CWA being brought down to a smaller scale. Hot Springs, man, we did 700 or 800 people every time we were there. And I know you go, oh, that ain't small, but when I say that, the setup and the obstruction of the square was brought down, tighter knit, if you will. So like in Maumelle, we put 615 people in a building that shouldn't have held about 300.
Holy cow!
Just about the way we laid the chairs out, the way we structured it, the way and I'll just say this on the 615 people, bro, we did $16,000, total. Now that was sponsorship, the gate, concessions, all that. And I think that show I'm talking about, I think that's the night we give the all the money to the family that had the burned out house. I think that was the second or third. I thought I lost you there for a second. Faded out on me.
I don't know what happened.
It just went brown. I like doing things that people say can't be done. And as far as that is going out and drawing crowds, man. But and I'll just tell you, in today's world, yesterday, and I told you this yesterday, but we did media day all day, bro. My first radio appearance was at 6 o'clock. We had one at 7, one at 9, and then we come back at 11. We took a little lunch break after that to about 1:30. Then I had 3 more, yesterday afternoon. So it was, but and the way I look at that, man, and a lot of people laugh, but if we can sell one ticket off of any of that radio stuff, it's it paid for itself. So I got a great group of guys in the office with me. Casey Gold, Ken Coble, if you will. Going back to my early career in Memphis, he owned a little company called MAW, which is Mid-South All-Star Wrestling. We never did great, but we did good business. We didn't draw a lot of people. We did good business. Anyway, so here we are 20 years later. We both worked for Burt Prentice when Burt Prentice passed away 3 years ago. It'll be 3 years in August, but 3 years ago, we told, everybody was like, what are we going to do with the territory? Blah, blah, blah. So we sat down and obstructed, hey, we'll just do Tennessee Championship Wrestling. And, brother, it's been a ride, but it's been a fun ride. We've done some shows that didn't draw with 30 people. We've done a few shows that, like I said, just two weeks ago in Henderson, we had 800. We're looking to do
Holy cow.
We're looking to do about 400 this coming Saturday night. Speaking of Burt Prentice, there in Jackson, it's going to be the Burt Prentice Memorial Birthday Bash. So, a lot of work, lot of no sweat and tears because it's cold outside, but a lot of hard work nonetheless. I'm leaving in the morning at 8:00 to go up there. We've got some news station stuff to do in the morning. One at like 9 and one at 11, I think, for the morning stuff. And then we lucked up, man. And a lot of buildings want to charge you for the day before to come in and set up. Well, we went in yesterday and did a walkthrough to make sure we were lined out. And the woman said, "I have nothing in here on Friday. If you guys want to come Friday." So, man, that. And I go back and I laugh. Matt Riviera spoilt me on that, being able to go to the venue the day before and being able to set up, man. So when we walk in on Saturday morning, flip the light switch on and push the green button and go,
Yeah.
So,
right on, man. So you go ahead.
And being able to get in there early, man, allows you to set up your step and repeats, allows you to set up your stuff for backstage interviews, your pipe and drape curtain you do for the actual interviewer, which is a thing that's not being done anymore, man. Unless it's big or, like Jason Jones, he runs Harrison, Arkansas there, and he still does it TV style, even on the house shows. And I've been a stickler for this too. I think you should do every house show just like you're shooting TV. Just my opinion. That way you get the footage and nobody feels, and it becomes routine. Nobody says, "Oh, it's TV, it's TV. What do we do?" I mean, if you got a camera there all the time, they get used to working in front of it, man. And just a few matches in as yourself, the more, and I'll tell you this, the more comfortable you get, the better you'll be. And I don't mean comfortable giving hip tosses and arm drags. I mean comfortable being in a public capacity where when you walk, because playing football in school is one thing, but brother, when you walk at the curtain and the spotlight of the camera is pointed at you, and whether you're making them boo you or cheer you, whatever, when them people react, it's you. That ain't no team, that ain't nobody else, that's you. I've seen a lot of guys walk out and never get a reaction. And what did I do wrong?
Yeah, man.
Well, you're not comfortable.
I think the best part about coming out, hearing your music and coming out, is that feeling that washes over you whenever you first. And I've not been in front of huge crowds. I think the biggest crowd I've been in front of maybe was 50 to 75 people max. I've worked for South Central Wrestling in Mountain Pine, and I've worked for this really small promotion in Fort Smith called IWF. Right. And neither of those have had huge turnouts in either case. Like I said, maybe between 50 to 75 people, my max amount of crowd. But it doesn't matter. The feeling that you get, whether it's 50, whether it's 20, whether it's 10, whether it's 100, I'd imagine, that feeling whenever you first go through the curtain that your music's hitting and they're either booing or cheering. The one thing you don't want, like you said, is silence. You don't want no sound. You want sound of some kind coming your way. And there hasn't been a moment that I've gone out there. Luckily, there hasn't been a moment that I've gone out there and heard silence yet. As far as the way the business works, not behind the scenes or anything, but as far as the way the business has progressed from the early 90s to today is astonishing. The moves, the presentation, everything, man. It's nuts how much different it looked than watching Nitro to today watching an AEW Dynamite or a Raw or anything, really. What is your opinion on the way the business has changed in the public view?
What you just said, don't break that. In the early days, man, you may have one high flying guy, but he never took any flips over the top rope to the floor. He never, the need for extremity was not there in the early days. Today, there's so much different entertainment. You got streaming TV, man. There's 50 to 100 wrestling channels, at any given time. The world of YouTube, man, you can pull YouTube up anytime you want to, man, and go, I watch wrestling here. If you want to watch 2 midgets and 6 women, if you want to watch 450-pound guy. I mean, you type it in there, it's there. So that where I'm going, and as far as it's changed that much, like I said, the need for extremity wasn't there because there wasn't that much more entertainment out there back, 10 years ago. In today's world, bro, if you don't got 3 or 4 high flyers on your car, used to, if your heavyweights were your main event, always. They were what drew your money. It's not that way now, man. My good friend Blake Christian, who's the GCW Game Changer Wrestling Champion, he does all them flips, bro. You either in or out. Does all them flips, over and over and over and over. And I told him about 3 or 4 months ago, I said, that's all nice, brother. I said, but when you get my age, you won't be able to move. Oh, yes, I will. I thought the same thing, but no, you won't. But will wrestling ever go back to simplicity? I think it will, but here's why. If WWE ever goes completely, and I know they sold it to overseas, Sabi Dawes, whatever, if it ever goes completely off the air, our wrestling in smaller territories will come back and everybody will draw what they should. If they quit running every single week. That's the big close down. And I ask you this on the every single week thing. And you said you're back in the ring, and I know you live in Hot Springs. Are you working for Michael Dampier?
No, I'm not working for him. Vapors Championship Wrestling?
Yeah.
No, I'm not actually working for him. They have asked me to come in and do something though.
I mean, brother, Dampier has been around a long time. He was a legit boxer. He was a legit tough man contest winner. And he knows, I seen some pictures from the other night there at the Boogie
Boogies.
Yeah. And dude, I know it probably don't hold about 100, but again, it was jam packed. It's about the atmosphere. It ain't really about the size of the venue. It's about the atmosphere. You get 100 folks in there drinking, having a good time, man. And, I know the state of Arkansas is a fun, medical state as well. So, you get them folks, 100 folks in a 10 by 10 room, they bound to get loud and rowdy,
Yeah. Definitely, man. I was gonna go. Me and my fiance were gonna go to that event, but then we were dealing with, I think, allergies or something. I don't remember. All I know is we weren't feeling good that day. So I messaged them that morning. I was like, "Hey, we may show up." By the end of the night, we were like, "No, ain't no way, ain't no way we're making it tonight." So maybe in the May event, we'll be able to make it to the show and talk to some people and stuff like that. I wouldn't be against doing that, but I've talked to a couple people. I've had a lot of trouble with breathing. I've had a lot of pains in my chest, and at nighttime I have a lot of trouble coughing and stuff. So I was thinking about taking a little bit of time away because I got 2 kids. I'm getting married at some point in the near future, and I don't want to miss out on any time with them if I don't have to. Especially if I could eventually hurt myself worse than I need to be hurt. You know what I mean? That's not right. Your health. I feel like your health is way more important than, the risk of getting hurt and being away for longer, basically. If I could figure out what's going on and stuff.
But again, it's about being in the business, man, and not saying that, I'm a wrestler or this or that. Reach out to Mike and just ask, or whoever other company you're working for, and just say, hey, man, I don't feel comfortable in the ring right now. What else can I do to help?
Yeah.
And if you have to spend 6 weeks doing promotions, hanging posters, whatever, that's not a downgrade, man. To me, that's a business decision. And everybody always laughs, and I still get ridiculed today. They go, oh, you're just a fucking poster hanger. I'm the guy selling tickets, bro.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
And a lot of, and of course, a lot of times, man, I'll be honest with you, and I learned this again from Matt Riviera and WCW and WWE, when we worked for them, bro. They give you a stack of tickets, and you're out, handing out 4x6s saying, hey, man, please come to this show tonight. If somebody showed interest, try to sell them a ticket. But if they said, we really can't afford it, get them in the door, man. I'd always take a stack of, sponsorship tickets with me, man. Here's 2 tickets, brother. Come on me. And I still do that today.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to look important to people, man, but I understand, bro. If tickets are $20 and you got 3 or 4 people, $10 kids tickets and $20 adult tickets, That's $50-$60 just to get in the door. Then oh hell, I got $40, and I ain't got but $20 left for concession stand or souvenirs. Well, I'd almost just soon, and I know the company has to make money, but I'd almost just soon them buy concessions or buy something from the boys would be via merchandise or whatever, just to come in and get that experience. Reason being, it goes back to setting goals, man. If I get to do something for free and I really like it, and I know there's no chance of me going back for free, I'm probably going to try to save me $1 a week. So when the next time it comes, I got my $15 to get in.
Yeah.
And
man, you've been all over, man, doing things all over different promotions. You said extra work for WWE. You were in the first couple of years you said for TNA.
Yeah,
you were working for them. Yeah, the first 26 shows. And then I saw posts that you had put up on Facebook that you were doing background work on Young Rock, man, whenever that was on TV. What was that experience like for you, man?
Dude, I got chill bumps as you say that, bro. Again, Downtown Bruno was very influential on that. But let me say this again: me knowing Downtown Bruno, me being good friends with Bruno, I still had to do exactly what everybody else had to do. You had to go through the website. You had to go fill out all your paperwork, go through all the red tape, buy a portfolio for the acting agent. But that's all part of it. But man, look, and here's the funny thing, and I'll get to somewhere else in a minute. But the funny thing for me is I was on the last 5 episodes. You hear what I said now? The last 5 episodes. And for me, when the people see you on the last 5 episodes, especially I was on the very, very last episode as a waiter. Of course, I fixed my hair up, makeup, and shaved my face and all that. But when the people see that very last episode, I'm one of the last guys they see.
Wow.
So it makes a lasting impression if you know where I'm going. If I'd have been on the first 4, the first 2 or 3 episodes, nobody would remember that. You know? But by holding my foot on the brake and waiting to be there. Of course, when they come to Memphis and started filming the second episode and the second season and the third season, dude, that was a game changer. Because before they filmed the first stuff out in L.A. So none of us had opportunity to that. But when it was presented to us, of course, and they were, oh man, dude, look, we want you to wrestle, you won't get hurt. Like, I don't want to. I can't wrestle on the Rock and not wrestle in real life. The people don't get. They don't get it. Even though a lot of 90, and again, going back to some of the guys being on the Rock, Greg Anthony was on there, man. My friend Brett Michaels was on there. The Posse, Simon Reed, Little Chris. I can name Danny Dollar, Bam Bam Bundy. Again, what I was talking about earlier about giving local stars a rub. We got that opportunity, man, because when The Rock came in, man, everybody who applied got to be a part of it. Now, you could be like some of my friends, one lives right up the road. Well, they never did reply to my stuff. Again, like I said earlier, I call bullshit. Everybody else got to play except you. No, don't tell me that. You know what I mean? So again, you had to put in the work to get there. But once you got there, man, they treated us all like gold. Especially on some of the wrestling scenes I got to do. I got to be a backstage interviewer. Of course, now in the scene, it's when The Rock. I don't remember if it's episode 5 or 6, whatever it was there, maybe 7. But it's where The Rock is sitting in the hallway, and the little boy Timmy comes in. And he goes, "Hey, Rock, how are you? What's your name?" And he says, "It doesn't matter what your name is." Well, I'm standing at the end of the hallway interviewing 2 girls. Like I said, I got a couple of nice on-screen shots, if you will, a couple of different ones just as an extra. I was on the front row with some of the wrestling matches, So, of course, and again, being on the inside, man, they give me the cup of popcorn and a cup of beer, which the beer was like fucking apple juice or something. I don't know what it was, but anyway, but I got a lot of prop shots, if you will. If you dig back through my Facebook, you can see some of the posts I put on there about all the different scenes I was in. So, brother, that's something that'll be in my book. Truly mesmerizing, because who in the hell would ever thought that a bunch of wrestlers would have got an opportunity to be on a national television show? Especially
yeah, man.
Dwayne. Especially with Dwayne.
Yeah,
And
man. So, let me ask you this. I mean, that seems like a nuts experience in itself, honestly. Going back to what brought you to the dance for that wrestling, man, and your love for it. Give me your Mount Rushmore of wrestling right now. Who is on your Mount Rushmore?
um, not only because they're both in pretty bad health shape, but Bill Dundee is number one. And I can get into that if you want to. Daylight difference between Bill Dundee and Jerry Lawler. When I was breaking in, Bill Dundee said, "Hey, boy, can you drive?" "Yeah, drive me to Nashville." "Okay." Again, I didn't say no. "Yes, sir." And brother, I probably worked with Dundee. You can ask Jason Jones this, but I probably worked with Dundee over 100 times in my career. Many nights I was booked against him, and many nights he'd come in somewhere and they didn't really have anybody to work. He'd see me and say, "I'm working with Johnny Morton. Give me Johnny Morton." So a lot of nights I was put right on the spot. As far as being able to get to work with my idols, if you will. Brother, I mean, I've got to work with just about everybody I ever fucking cheered for as a kid. But Bill Dundee's number one, Jerry Lawler would be number two. And only because I got to meet him at Ric Flair's last match, and hang out with him for just a little bit would be Ric Flair. Not only one of the greatest, man, but he's, down to earth, real guy. And I know he shit on us in Hot Springs, but, and I say he did, his health did, whatever, man. I know you remember that story, but, they called us the day
Yeah.
of. They called us the day of and said, "Hey, not the day of, the Friday before," and said, "Ric Flair's not going to make it." Brother. Man, you talking about gut wrenching.
God dang, man.
On the bottom of our tickets, and brother, I owe props to Matt Riviera every day. On the bottom of our tickets, it said no refunds, no exchange, no zero. We give back
Wow.
$12,000 of Ric Flair tickets to people who want, the meet and greets and all that stuff. Standing there at the Hot Springs Convention Center, we give back $12,000.
Holy cow.
And still offered them, even though we give them their money back, we still offered their GA admission on us to come in.
Wow.
So,
That's awesome,
if
man.
I remember correctly, that's what happened, because a lot of them didn't. A lot of them get their money back, and a lot of them didn't leave. So, and now whether they paid admission to come back in for general admission, I'm not sure how that worked, but I know that 70% of them did not leave. They got their money back for the meet and greets and all that, but they didn't, they didn't cry and whine. Anyway, but number 4 for me probably had to be Hulk Hogan, man.
Hulk Hogan? Okay.
Just because he's the guy who changed the wrestling world by showmanship, by selling merchandise. Of course, a lot of guys hated him, man, in TNA, at Impact, the later days, because he was making $65,000 an appearance, not $65 an episode. If he walked down the ramp and walked back down, it's 50,000 plus every time.
Holy cow.
So he got a lot of heat in the end. But as far as setting you're talking about the way the things have changed from the 90s to now, Hulk Hogan was a big part of why it changed as far as being known as entertainment. But when I first got into business, I thought it was real. I knew there was I knew there was some theatricals to it, but again, like I said, everybody I worked with, man, beat the teetotal shit out of me. Not to the face, but every other shot was fucking pow, pow, pow. You're like, mad at me to owe you money. That kind of thing. But you either fought back and swam, or you drowned and got pushed out. So
yeah.
But yeah,
so Bill Dundee, Jerry Lawler, Ric Flair, and Hulk Hogan.
Yep. And
right
Flair changed the business in a mild, modest way. Now, did he have the bleached blonde hair? Because if you look at his early pictures from the 70s and early 80s, 81, 82, he was not the Ric Flair that we know today. He was no bleached blonde hair, man. He was all buff chested, big barrel chested guy, mean looking.
Yeah.
So by him being able to put the bleached blonde hair in, of course, I wore bleached blonde hair for a long time, man. Of course, they've asked me 4 or 5 times the last 2 or 3 weeks, "Hey, man, bleach your hair, man. We need you for TV. Bleach your hair." So I want to bleach my hair, but I still may, but I'm not tanned up. It's not summertime yet. Matter of fact, it looks like it's in the rain. It's kind of gloomy here, but again, back to Ric Flair, man. the easy, the most simplistic robes that he could wear, the matching boots, the matching tights, just about, I don't reckon I ever seen him but a handful of times mismatched, different color tights on from his boots or the robe didn't match none of what he was wearing. And Matt Riviera reflected a lot on that. And that's where he got a lot of his greatness and his TV persona, his flamboyant arrogance, if you will, come from the reflection of what Ric Flair did in the early days. So,
Man, what would you say is your favorite match that you've had in your entire career, man? If you had to narrow it down, what would be the one match that you would say this is the one that people need to watch to know who Johnny Morton is?
Probably right there in Russellville, man, at the Tucker Coliseum the night I worked Trish Phillips Jr. For Bill Ash for ICPW, and they put the junior heavyweight belt on me, man. That was like 97, 90, early 98, and totally unexpected. I didn't know I was going over, and I'd been working for this thing for 6 weeks. Working Trish every single night, man, getting beat. Of course, back then, I was 3 or 4 years into the actual in-ring action, so I was just figuring out what angles meant. I was just figuring out what stories were, trying to figure out what storytelling was. But that night in Russellville, because I beat him a couple weeks ago on TV, in Fort Smith. We were doing TV up there for, like I said, for Bill Ash and ICPW. Well, then in Russellville, at the Tucker Coliseum, man, of course, at that time for me, let me say this, the Tucker Coliseum is a miniature replica of the Mid-South Coliseum, right? I mean, if you look on the outside of it, it's obviously 10 times smaller, but it looks just like Mid-South Coliseum on the inside. So for me to go in there and I'll tell you this before I tell you the finish, the very first spot that we did, and the finish was supposed to be the finish. Locked up, man, he shot me off. He said, duck my clothesline, reverse, clothesline me over the top. Okay. Well, mid spot, somehow or another, we got tied up, and I wound up going over the top rope backwards. So, of course, and again, back to the days of beating the piss out of somebody, man. Trish Phillips come out, man. Boom, didn't you listen to me? Didn't you listen to me? Yes, I heard you, but something happened, Anyway, so, and I guess the frustration that I gave him meant even more to me when he slipped me over, and it was simple, bro. It was a duck 2, step over, sunset flip. We went home, got a comeback, and when he didn't kick out and the referee counted 3, I actually sat there. I said, he said, you won, man, get up. Okay. So you didn't know you were you didn't know you were going over at all? Like they didn't tell you the finish?
I
had no clue.
Wow.
So the finish
that's crazy, man.
The finish was supposed to be take the charge to the turnbuckle, miss, boom, and he'd put his feet on the ropes and hold my trunk. That's supposed to be the finish. But like I said,
wow.
Come back, man, duck 2, step over, sunset flip, 1, 2, 3. And I sat there. I was like, he said, you won, man. Get up. Okay. And until they actually put the belt in my hand, I didn't, it still wasn't real to me,
Man.
I bet. And I'll still be honest with you, man. And that picture's on my Facebook, with me with that belt. Dude, when I see it today, it still seems surreal. Now I won a lot of belts after that, but just about every other time I've ever won, I knew I was winning. So that kind of takes all the fun out of it, but not to the people, but to you. But the element of surprise, dude, that's the best feeling in the world.
Man, I had something similar to that happening because happened to me because when I wrestled for the IWF in Fort Smith, and so I wrestled for them once. It was like this handicap tag team match. It was 3 of us against 2 of them. For whatever reason, we did not win, so it didn't really make much sense. But they called me up, or I called them up because I was talking to all kinds of people. I wasn't getting any work, so I was like, do y'all need anybody? Hey, I'll come and I'll help promote. I'll help do whatever. So I made like a promo video for the Comic-Con event they were going to have. I made a couple of alternate posters for the Comic-Con event that they were having. And I was like, this is this is y'all can use this stuff if you want to. It's not gonna affect me. It's not gonna hurt me. And actually, I'm doing it so you can do that, you know. And they were like, oh, okay, thanks, sure, yeah, whatever, blah blah blah. Well, it came to be about a week or so before the show, and they told me, or before the show, they'd already told me I was going to be on the show, but they didn't figure out who I was going against. Then they told me, you're going against this guy. The guy reached out to me and he talked to me. He was like, hey, man. So the people were talking to me, and they were like, since you're helping out so much, they wanted to give you the chance to win the championship or whatever, because he had the Intercontinental Championship or something of that nature. And I was like, oh, cool, Intercontinental Championship match. That's pretty cool, man. That's awesome. And by the end of the call, he said, well, they're going to want you to win it because you've helped promote so much, because you helped do it, because we're a really small promotion and stuff. And I'm like, oh, wait, what? What are you? I'm winning? I've done one match before this match for your promotion. I've been here in a hiccups amount of time, but they took notice of me doing this stuff. So talk about getting caught off guard with something that caught me off guard as well in a similar manner, not in the same manner, because God, I wouldn't know what to do if it was in the match and they were like, here you go. Cause that would be nuts, man. That sounds nuts.
But it gives you confidence on learning the ways of the business. And what I mean by that, I'm sure you've heard this. Ad lib creates animosity, and ad lib creates opportunity. And that's exactly, and we've used that philosophy for a long time. And a lot of guys go, oh, you can't do that on, the fly the seat of your pants. Yes, you can. And
yes,
a lot of times, and what I'm saying by this, man, I remember distinctively that night when I won, bro. I don't know if all of them stood up, but it seemed like the whole entire Coliseum stood on their feet because it was real.
Wow.
And I've had a lot of real moments like that, man. Where you get kind of caught up in the moment and you don't break kayfabe or you don't break character, but you make the situation real. And when you make it real, the people believe, and when they believe, they buy. They don't just buy the sale, they buy the as well. So
definitely, man. Well, man, we're getting closer to the end of the time for our show, man. And usually at the end of every show, I like to talk about gratefulness because I'm a super grateful guy. I'm very grateful for a lot of things that's come in my life that I didn't think ever would. But mainly, getting the chance to talk to all of the wonderful people that I have. I'm grateful for one. Before I continue, we usually say three things that we're grateful for. I'll say the three things that I'm grateful for, and then I'll let you have that opportunity as well. So for me, they don't change a ton, right? My support system is the first thing. My family, my friends, my fiance, my two daughters, and anybody who supported me on any journey that I've had, giving me that kind of support that I didn't know that I could get given. It's awesome having that support system behind you. The second thing is obviously the awesome guests like yourself that, quite frankly, don't have to come on the show, man. Nobody has to be on here, you know what I mean? I'm just some dude talking to people, so I'm very grateful for anybody and everybody that takes the time to come on the show and give me an hour, 30 minutes, however much of their time they're willing to give me. It's a very huge honor for me to be able to have all of you guys on, so thank you. Very grateful for that. And the third thing is the good Lord above, man, because without him, dude, I don't think anybody would be able to be around. I don't think anything would be possible, and I'm not one to push anything on anybody. That's just the way I believe. I believe without God, nothing's possible. And with him, everything is. So, man, what are three things that you are grateful for in this moment?
Man, dude, you pretty much covered all of them, but I will say I'm grateful for my family that has supported me for the last I say 30 years. I'm 49, so from since day one, I've had a few hecklers, man, but I'm very grateful for the ones who I can call today, or they call me and say, "Hey, are you in town? Come to dinner." Family's everything to me, man. I got two older daughters, man. Both of them are grown and married. A handful of grandkids. I've got an 8-year-old little boy of mine, man. I'm very grateful for family and grateful for the opportunity to be able to find something in life that I enjoyed doing, because in the early days, man, and I don't know if you ever heard this, man, but if you ever find a job you love doing, you'll never work a day in your life. So I'm very grateful for that. I'm grateful and honored. The good man, the good Lord above, man. If it hadn't been for him, I would never had the grace and the willpower to move forward in my early days, man. I had a bad motorcycle wreck in '94. I tore up my hip. Of course, the doctor told me then, "Oh, you'll never be able to wrestle again." I did. Grateful for the opportunities, man. Again, with the good Lord above. I broke my right pelvis in '98. Mabel broke that. Again, they told me you never wrestle again. So grateful for the will and God's grace to say, hey, get up and go do this. It's what you need. Grateful for being able to have I'm grateful for a lot of things. So it's going to go past more than 3, but I'm grateful to be able to obtain the knowledge, to be able to do what I do today, as far as putting the show together, as far as getting out and promoting, as far as getting out and getting sponsors, getting out, putting it on TV, putting it on the radio. A lot of guys say, man, I don't know how to do that. So I'm grateful that I had an opportunity to obtain and absorb all that knowledge. And I'm really grateful, man, that even in my wild days, I still had enough sense somewhere in the midst of all that to pay attention and learn. And, again, I sat under great learning trees from Don Bass, Motley Cruz, the Jarretts, all of my, everywhere I've ever been, man, from California, all those guys out there. And like you said, man, earlier, man, I can't say this enough. Thankful and grateful for the good Lord above, man. From the bottom of my heart, brother. I mean, I could shed tears and get back in first gear and laugh and cry and all that. But without God, none of this would be possible. Without God, nothing is possible. Nothing.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Even when you say impossible, I'm possible. You know what I mean? Remember that.
Yes, sir.
So, but
yes,
brother,
sir.
I know we're wrapping up here, man, but thank you. It's an honor to be on your show, man. And I tell my kids this every day, and it's something else I'm grateful for, man. I've got friends all over the world. And when I say that, check my Facebook. I got friends all over the world, man. And I say friends. I don't mean acquaintances. I don't mean people I met. I mean friends. I can pick up the phone and call anybody I want to call, wherever they are. And it takes a lot of takes a lot of companionship, a lot of working together to make the relationship like that, because there's so many people in life that just pass you by. And some days, man, people who come into your life aren't always meant to stay. And that's probably one of the hardest things the human mind can't put together sometimes. Well, why is so and so not talking to me? Why did so and so move? Why they moved out of school? Why did they move away from here? People in life sometimes, and I've been the same guy, man. Some people are born with a gypsy soul, and you just got to understand that what that means is you go somewhere, you hang out, you establish your footsteps, you move on to the next town, and it may be across the country, maybe the next city. I'm just saying, man, I'm grateful for a lot of opportunities that I've had opportunity to have.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, I'm very happy and thankful that you came on the show, man. A lot of wisdom in your words today, man. A lot of things that I didn't know about from the 90s leading up to today in wrestling that I learned today. So I'm very thankful that you came on today, man. Do you have anything you want to promote before you get off of here? This episode's airing on Monday or Tuesday.
Couple of things I'd like to promote, but I know you're right there in Hot Springs, man. And the next time I come, I owe Michael Dampier a lunch, and I'd like to sit down and have lunch with you, man. But you can't come to Hot Springs without buying Mountain Valley water, brother. Look, I have it shipped here by the case. Anytime we come to Hot Springs, I go by the store and pick up 2 or 3 cases there. It's the best water, and I've been all over the world. It's the best water in the world. And I don't know if it's because it comes out of the mountains. I don't know what makes it the best, but now obviously here you drink it cold, but if you go anywhere in town and you get spring water, it's hot.
Yeah.
So, and it doesn't matter if you go to the bathhouse, it doesn't matter what you do. But anyway, as far as promoting stuff and upcoming stuff, like I said, this coming weekend, which Monday, if it airs Monday, it'll be over with. But just check out your Facebook, man. Check me out on Facebook, Johnny Morton at Facebook, Johnny Morton at Instagram, Johnny Morton on TikTok. I do have a Snap, but I don't get on there often. But anybody watching this wants to contact me, man, and pick my brain, ask a few questions. Man, I'm an open book. I'm always available to talk wrestling. I get in trouble a lot, and BB, my fiance, she's a wrestler too, but she says, "Do you ever get tired of talking about wrestling?" No, not really. But man, like I said, check out my TCW Tennessee Championship Wrestling Facebook, man, for some of our upcoming events. Because if some of the guys or some people watching your show may be coming through, and hey, we'd like to stop and watch wrestling while we're in Tennessee. Feel more welcome. Contact me on my messenger. I'll do what I can do to get you a VIP ticket, or at least get you in the door and treat you like a VIP.
All right, right on, man. Sounds great.
All right.
All right. Well, thank you for coming on, buddy.
All right, man. Thank you, brother. Love you much, and I'll talk to you soon.
Yes, sir. See, that was a great episode. I was not entirely sure what to expect, but Johnny was a great dude. He was a great guy that was willing to give all kinds of information, talk about what he's got going on currently. I mean, the information that he gave about being on Young Rock and everything of that nature, it was just priceless information, and I'm so thankful that Johnny stopped by. Johnny, if you ever want to come back on again, man, anytime, buddy, anytime, I will be more than happy to have you on. But as for right now, this episode is done. Let's look forward to tomorrow whenever Samantha Shaw comes on the show. It's going to be an episode you don't want to miss. Trust me when I say that, guys. It's awesome. All right. But as far as this episode, it is time to say goodbye. Never forget to always listen when Adam talks. You guys have a wonderful rest of your day, evening, or night, whenever you're watching or listening to this. And we'll see you very, very soon.